Good.
You're live now? I'm gonna call Brian again and be like, can you see this?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Brian can't be here tonight. He's a little under the weather, so we hit Plan B, and we're going to continue to do this because this was very important to him, the whole storytelling. And so we are actually doing it virtual for him, and he's watching right now on his laptop. So if Leah can swing it around so everybody can wave to Brian, and we'll say, "Hey, Brian! All right, we're all thinking about you." Woo. So, anyways, like I said, this was a very important evening for him, and it was really cute when he called me earlier and was like, "Oh, I can't believe I'm not," and I was like, "Don't worry about it, we got it all covered." And and we did it with a lot of help. So Leah, DPW, Grounds, the Big Bear Media staff, like we all just pulled in, everyone just pulled in, and anything that we needed, even like the tent company, we ordered the tents yesterday at 3:45. Patrick helped us out. I was like, hey, we're gonna go to Plan B. So anyways, so one of Brian's voices that he loves is Gunna. So she's gonna start the evening off and she's gonna sing a couple songs. And then Stephanie Muskovich is gonna come up and she's gonna tell us a story. And then the smoke dancers are gonna come and they're gonna get you out of your seat too. So they're gonna come and dance, and then we're all gonna dance. And then we have, Chris Paulus and I had the pleasure of sitting down with Brian about 6 weeks ago. And so he told us his favorite story. And so it's a great clip because he explains why it's his favorite story, which is actually an even funnier story. So he has it, and then he has some final things to share. And so that's what our evening is going to be. So everybody just sit back and enjoy. And I will introduce Gunna.
Saguli Brian. I had the honor of being asked to come and share a couple songs. The first song that I'm going to sing is Discogo Wahne, which it's an uplifting song. It's meant to be uplifting, so I thought that would be a perfect fit to send some uplifting thoughts and prayers for you, Brian. And then the second song that I'll be singing it's called the Four Messengers song, and the translation of that one is that you're asking the four messengers to come and watch over your family. And so kind of just sending those good thoughts and feelings out to Brian and his family.
I have to say, very beautiful voice. So now we have Stephanie Muscovich, and she is, where is she? Oh, there you are. Come on out.
Van
she's
Every,
gonna tell us a
Van
story.
Every,
Yeah,
too.
and be a good one.
All right, Sigoli Swigwig. I just want to thank Leah and Michelle for inviting me out tonight and allowing me to tell some stories. I'm a big fan of Brian, and I've been lucky enough to hear him do storytelling many times, and also a few times been able to join him and listen to him storytelling. And I remember one thing that he told me at the end of our first storytelling session was, you know, you want people to walk away feeling good, right? Okay, so it's time to change my story. So today I'm going to tell you a funny little story. And it's my understanding that later something is going to be shared about wolves with us. And so I thought it would be appropriate if I shared a story that had to do with bears and turtles. Since our nation is made up of the three clans, wolf, bears, and turtles, right? That made it a perfect opportunity for me to share those stories. So today's story is going to be about bear and turtle. And it's also going to be about a lesson, because all of the stories that we tell, either they're a historical lesson, or they're things that you should or should not do, or maybe they're just feel-good stories to make us feel good and lift our spirits, okay? So this story is going to have a little bit to do with bragging. And so I am a parent of 5 children, and I know 5 is not a lot. My grandma had 21. Is that bragging? So, but when you have 5 children and you have them all in the same room, they're bound to get into happy discussions, bouts of laughter, and sometimes they start bragging and trying to one-up each other. Well, this can turn out either again in laughter, or it can turn out in not such a good way for one of them or all of them. So let's wait to the end of this story and find out, how does bragging impact the main character of our story, okay? So the story starts out with Oqual. Does anybody know who Oqual is? Who is Oqual? Bear. Yeah? Louder. Bear. That's right, Oqual is Bear. And Bear loved himself. And there's nothing wrong with self-love. In fact, everybody should have love for themselves. But he didn't just love himself. He wanted everybody to know that he loved himself. So he would wake up bright and early in the morning and come rumbling into the village where all of the other animal beings were. And as he would go along, he would say, I am so handsome. Now he wouldn't just say, I am so handsome, but he would say, you think I'm so handsome, right?
Oh, yeah.
And of course the people, or the animal beings, would have to say yes, because yes, Bear is very handsome. Gorgeous, dark fur, great big sharp white teeth. But Bear wouldn't stop there. Bear would keep on going, and this was morning after morning, and he would say, I am so strong. And he would even go up to somebody and say, go ahead, I'm so strong, right? And everybody begrudgingly would have to agree. Yes, Bear, you're so strong. Bear would keep on going, and as he would go along, he would find the next person, and he would say to them, look at me, I'm Bear. I'm so fast at running. And of course, he was fast at running, so when he would say, aren't I fast at running, the people would say, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sure are fast at running, Bear. But then all of a sudden, he heard a voice, and the voice said, not as fast as me. And he looked around at who would dare say that? They are faster than Bear. Well, he said, oh, no, it can't be true. I am the fastest. Nobody can go faster than me. He said, I am so fast that even the deer, the leader of all of the animals, could not outpace me. And again, he heard a noise. And that little voice said, oh, no, I'm faster than you, Bear. And as he looked around to all the other animals, they began to look away. They wanted Bear to know for sure that they had not just said that they were faster than him. And the only thing that remained was a tiny little right next to him. And so he looked down at that little rock and he said, I am Bear and I am fast. And all of a sudden that little rock moved and a little head popped out and said, I am Turtle and I am faster. All of the animals in the entire community were so afraid for little Turtle at that moment. But Turtle did not back down. And so Bear said, oh yeah, you think you're faster than me. And Turtle said, you know, I may not be more good looking. And he said, you know, you may have a lot of things on me, but one thing I have, Bear, is I'm faster than you. And he said, you're just a little turtle. You're known for being slow. And Turtle says, oh, no, not in the water. Not in the water. In the water, I am fast. And so Bear says, all right, how about we do this? How about we race? Okay? And Turtle's like, yeah, I like that idea. Let's race. And he says, but I'm not getting in the water. And Turtle says, no, that's fine. You go ahead and you run on the shore, and I will swim down this river, and we'll see who's faster. And now it was that time where the weather was changing, and so there was a thin layer of ice over the river. And Bear said, but it's covered in ice. How am I going to know that you're really swimming? I'm not even going to see you once you go under the water. And Turtle said, oh, no. Every now and then, I will break up through the ice and let you look at me so that you know. And so Turtle says, all right. And so he makes his grand announcement. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye, all ye people of thy tribe, animals, and nations. Tomorrow we will meet here at sunrise. Turtle and I will race, and I will show you all that I am the fastest of all the animals, aren't I? Yep. Yes, I am. So that next morning, bright and early, the sun rises, and sure enough, Bear shows up. And he's even singing a little song. He's singing, Yo ho okwali hatgaye. Yo okwali hatgaye. And he's dancing around. He's being even more boastful than normal. And the other animals are like, oh, and they're very worried about Turtle. And they're just hoping that Bear doesn't ask him any more questions. And so then finally, Turtle shows up. And Turtle painted her little cheeks pink, just right here and right here. And said, oh, for this special day, I just want it to be nice and blushing. And so Bear says, okay, but I'm still the most handsome, aren't I? And Turtle says, yes, you are, Bear. And so all of a sudden, Fox comes down to the front, Skunnox, and he says, all right, when my tail drops, everybody is going to take their places and start the race. So Bear gets ready, Turtle gets ready in the pond, and remember, Turtle agreed that she is going to pop up every now and then just to let Bear know where she is. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! All of a sudden, Fox's tail drops. Turtle takes off like a light, but Bear is just walking along. Yo, kwali, hatgaye. And he's looking at the different animals, and he's going, Yo, kwali, hatgaye. And so he's just kind of making a fool of himself and really trying to make a fool out of Turtle. And that's when he looks up, and Turtle's head pops up way down the stream and looks at him. And he says, oh no, I better go a little bit faster. So he picks up the pace. Yo, okwali, hatgaye. And then even further down, Turtle pops her head up. He cannot believe it. Finally, he turns on the speed and he goes, Yo, okwali, hatgaye. Yo, okwali. Who's the best answer?
You are.
Well, long story short, Turtle all of a sudden pops up at the end, at the finish line. Bear has not even made it halfway. So busy bragging, so busy dancing and showing off. Finally, Bear realizes that with his bragging and with his ridiculousness, he has lost the race. He did not even take that race seriously. So angry, he doesn't even go and congratulate Turtle. He just turns around, rumbles off into the woods as winter begins, and from that day on, he decides to sleep all winter long. Now, to this day, Bear still sleeps all winter long, okay? But there's one thing that I did not tell you. And the thing that I did not tell you is as soon as everybody cleared, all of a sudden, that one little turtle popped her head up, still at the beginning of the line. And then another little turtle popped up and crawled out of the river. And then another little turtle popped up and crawled out of the river, and another, and they looked at each other. And all of a sudden they began to sing, yo, hut no wah, hut no wah, hut no wah, hut no yay. And that is the story of Bear and Turtle. Thank you so much for allowing me to tell the story. I would like to say to you in honor of my buddy, I hope that all of you have a swear word awesome evening.
Thank you. Let's give her a big round of applause because that was really awesome. I would have gone over that. So, I need to ask my dad to step up a second because he's security tonight. And we're just going to do a little walk. Dad, we got to do a little walk and make sure that the path is clear for the smoke dancers. So come this way. We'll just kind of double check. And we're going to make sure that the path is clear for if they want to dance around and if there's enough space to kind of get through a little bit. You guys might have to poke in your toes a little bit or move back Dad, you might have to have these guys move back a foot. So they're offenders. They might have gone past the yellow line earlier. All right, so we're still dancing. Oh, we can go this way. You guys will have to watch your toes. We got lots of space over here and lots of space that way. I don't know, Dad. What do you think?
Yeah.
Are we good to go?
Good to go.
All right, Brad. We're going to bring up the smoke dancers. Get things set up here. So Brian, just hold on a second.
He is watching.
Okay. And he is watching, so exciting.
Hare Pasagwik, everybody. Hello. Thanks for coming out and celebrating Brian Doxtator tonight. All the stories that he shared with our people for all them years. You know, I always, I know he's listening right now, but I always think back to Indian summer. You know, we'd always, when I was young, I was probably only like 10 or 11, and we used to go out, before I was doing any of the speaking, we used to go out to Indian summer and dance. That was back when I was just strictly a dancer, you know. And I remember we'd always sit there, after we'd get done dancing, he'd always tell his stories, you know what I mean? He would go through them. And then I remember one we'd always joke about, he'd always sing that Drugs and Booze song, if you ever heard that round dance. You know what I'm talking about. You know, if you don't do drugs and booze, and we'd be all in the back, you know. But no, it was a really good memory of when we were just kids. And so I'm honored to be asked to sing some songs and share some of our, you know, Ohunja Geika Gununya Su, some of our earth dances. And we're gonna do some smoke dancing, yes. But I kind of want to get away from it being like more of a performance. I want it to be like our community coming together. You know, that's what we used to do a long time ago. We used to celebrate life and we do these social dances. So I'm gonna have, we're gonna do some smoke dancing. We're gonna get our guys out first here. And after, I'm gonna start just going through some of these social dances. And I'd like to ask all of the people, you know, holidays for Nunyakwa, Awaduga, if you're able, come and dance. And when you're dancing, you know, direct some good words, some good thoughts, some good prayers towards Brian and his family. And, you know, they're going through some tough times right now. So come out and dance with us. So here we go. This first dance that we're gonna do, I know he always requested us to do this when we were just younger guys at Indian summer. So we're gonna get started with what we call Gayu Wagayu, our old Moccasin Dance. So if we can get some of our guys, some of our girls, Guzman, I see you back there in your hat. Come on, get up here. E3, Jamers, don't be hiding. I see you out there. So holidays for Nunyaka, come help us. Ona gadi ne thoni ganjo koda, ne thoni ne wan soda, ne gano yungu ya da lolo. ne gari gai ga ne ji gai ya ne lo ste listen ne gani ya su ne wagli hulun duze ne e gli hawana de ne ji ne hoye la ne oyane sa halago gai ga ne gana nyoda ne onane Raji da rune gue gai ga ganto ne wasundad ne gari gai ga ne wahalo ne gayo bagayo ne ohunja geka ne ganonya so how de sunonya ko kanjo ko go dan
I would if I knew how to.
all right.
Hare It's time to eat, right?
Yeah. Get him. Brad.
Ain't even dancing, we're still sweating. Y'all uncle for all those ones that come up and dance. This next one we're gonna slow it down just a little bit, just so everybody can come out. You know, I know some people ain't too comfortable dancing the faster ones, so we're gonna slow it down. This next one we're gonna do is our stomp dance. So pretty much follow the leader, more of a march. My little brother Quincy, he's gonna lead the people out. So once again, I want to do the how de sueña con Joko Puedo.
This is how you get started.
Yeah, you got to have some social dances back in Syracuse. Get started with practice. You can host one. So that's the homeland, that's why.
Hey.
All right. Y'all want to go again? Everyone who come out and dance. It's good to see all the people out here. All the smiles. It's been a whole what, like 2 years since we could gather, so it's good to see that again. This last song we're gonna do before we wrap things up is one that we always use to close up our social gatherings. We always call it Ganehwai or Ganishtage. This is our stick dance. So once again, inviting everybody out. Awanduga, if you're able, come and dance. Just a reminder, we're gonna have my brother Q. He's gonna lead dance it. He's going hard here. Round of applause for my little brother. He's giving it. He does good. Yeah, we're just gonna remind everybody to, direct all your thoughts, all good thoughts and prayers towards Brian and his family as you're dancing. And dance hard, because he's seeing us, he's watching all right now. So we're gonna get started with our stick dance here, and have all of our guys come up first and all of our girls to follow. Devadine.
applause for Brad and all the smoke dancers. It was great. So, whew, I forgot to bring the sunscreen today. So if you're on this side, you're okay, and you'll be a little crispy on that side. And then everybody on the picnic benches, they're okay too. So, like I said before, Chris Paulus, Irene Danforth, and I, we had an opportunity to sit down with Brian, and because it was really important for him, that we record his favorite story. It was one of our things was that we wanted to record his favorite story, and so we will get Patrick set up, and then we'll be able to see it great, but it's okay. It's about the words, right? So, anyways, all right. So let me move this out of the way. And Brian, this is you.
It has three parts. So the first part is this. Gordy McLester came to me one time and was in my 20s, and he said, I'm planning a trip to Germany next year. Clean up your act, save up some money, behave yourself in the next year, get your passport, you're going. And he said, we've been hired by a college to come out and do a powwow. I don't know exactly what your role is yet, but I've got a year to think about it, but you're going. So it'll be a 3-day powwow, and that's all I know right now. They're paying for our airfare, they're paying for our hotel, but you're still going to be spending money for food, and if you want to buy any trinkets and all that other stuff. So I said, sound exciting, I'm in my 20s and so forth. About other tribes from out west, because the Germans also wanted the big Western, the plains bustles. And part of their parade was having these old Indian men coming on a horse and all that. So anyway, so he talked to us, and he'd been to Germany at least 3 times with Oneidas already, touring in Germany. So this was like, his 4th tour trip. And he told us, he said, well, for those of you that don't know, he said, in Germany they have hobbyists, and these hobbyists, they dress up like us, and they live like us, and they learn our songs, and they'll be at the powwows, and some are from France, most of them are from Germany. They'll be fancy dancers, and they'll be traditional, and they'll be all the different jingle and all the different types of dances, and there'll be drums from different parts of Germany. He said, we're here to get paid to do a job. We're not here to judge them. As most of you know, as Indian people, we call them wannabes, and even though we make fun, we as Indian people are highly offended by wannabes. So he said, take that little feather and put it away, because we're getting paid to do a job. And you got free air flight here, you get your hotel room paid for, so you are getting paid, and we're not going to sit here and judge these hobbies. When we were leaving the airport, he said, I finally figured out what your role is here, Brian. He said, I'm going to have you MC the powwow. And my eyes got big, and I'm like, oh my God, I've never MC'd a powwow before. And he obviously read me and said, you've been to enough powwows in your lifetime, you know how they operate in general. You have your admission and your grand entry and veterans, and so nothing's changed. He said, just go by that. And so, and he said, if there's a moment in time, and there may be, whatever happens here this weekend, he said, then I want you to tell a story to all the participants. And so, when we got to our hotel, we met all the main people who were coordinating this powwow. And then he also introduced me to the interpreter. And so he said, you two go away and you talk and learn how to communicate with each other, because everything you say at the powwow, you're going to have to give her that moment to translate back into German. And then when she's done, you're going to have, there can't be a leg. So you just figure out how you're going to communicate. You just go away. So her and I went and visited throughout a couple days before the powwow and so forth. So got to know each other a little bit, etc., etc. So just to give you an idea, that Thursday night was the first night, and then obviously we went with the normal time, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There was like 26 or 27,000 people that attended that powwow on that 3.5 days. So, and they're, obviously all from all over Germany. France is close to Germany, as you know. So, interestingly enough, and one of the drums was Pine Ridge After Dark. That was the name of the drum. They were from Berlin. Immediately when I heard that I had the drum lesson, I'm like, oh my God, if you were actually went to Pine Ridge After Dark, you wouldn't name your drum that. But anyway, so they were very nice to us Indians, the Germans were. So anyways, just a side story. Gordy said, there's 3 young men, and you remember the hobbyist I told you about? And I said, yes. And he said, well, they've adopted Mohawk as their tribe. And so they buy everything from the Canadian Mohawks, make their clothes and their buckskin and their cassette tapes. And he said they want to sing some social songs. They like to sing. And they asked me to go find if I could find somebody to sing with them. So he said, remember about that judgment feather? He said, keep that in your hat. And he said, go over there and sing a couple songs with them, and you're just going to, make their heart big. So I did. The first song we sang was a round dance song. Simple enough, everybody knows it, and it's not difficult to learn. And they had the beat down, and they had the words and the rhythm and the tune and everything, and they had the water drum that they made. And it bothered me the whole time. And I'm only in my 20s, I'm under to understand this is ours. Obviously, we know nothing belongs to us, but at that time, I was like, this is ours. So at the end, they were all happy and pleased and so forth. And at the end, they wanted me to lead the friendship song. Friendship songs got a little bit more rhythm and different tunes, and it's not more difficult than the round dance, but not as simple. So they handed me their water drum, and it was a very nice water drum. Everything they do is almost to perfection. So I looked at the main guy and I said, can I ask a question? And he said, sure. And I said, can I ask why? And I said, why are you adopting a tribe? Why are you dressed up? They had the whole Iroquois outfit on, the Gustoi. They didn't have eagle feathers, but anyway. And the water drum, and you're learning the song. Why? I said, I'd like to better understand. And so they talked in German for, I bet you, about 10 minutes. There were actually 4 of them, these 4 guys. They talked in German, going back and forth, and kind of reminded me how the old people in Oneida, when they didn't know the answer right off the hand, the old people would talk to each other in Oneida. And then they'd be nodding their head and agreeing and disagreeing, and then and they came up with the answer, and then they would come up with the definition or answer, whatever. So that's what these guys are doing. It was really kind of cool to see. So anyway, he said, we think we know what you're asking. So he said, this is what we believe. He said, when the Roman Catholic army came through, most people they devastated, meaning they killed them outright, and they would just leave oblivion in their path. He said, but for whatever reason, 2,000, 3,000 years ago, when the Roman Catholic army came through, or however many years ago it was, he said they didn't kill our people, but they colonized us to their way. And what they left was the same thing. We have no link to our tribal ways. Some of the language has changed. Our outfits, our clothing has changed. Most of us, are under a Christian value belief system, and even probably our homes. We don't even know what our homes looked like prior to the Roman Catholic army, because we were a tribe. And so our generation, it has been doing its best to try to find these links back to what our ancestors were like. They were hunters and gatherers and fishers, and they were agriculturalists, and they lived off the land, and they were tribal people just like your people. And your people continue fighting to continue your ways and to be able to create your own rules and laws. And he said, that's all we have. We only have you to look to help guide us back to who we were at one time. And it was like in that very moment, in that very instant, my whole ideology of racism and prejudice just like went away. And I was like, I totally understood. And I to this day, I don't have any problem with these non-Indians running around trying to be an Indian, except at Halloween, but that's all and in Germany, he further described, he said, they have Germans who on the weekends, they go out camping, and they built longhouses or teepees or wigwams or any, and then they live and they camp like that all weekend long. And they dress up like the tribe that they've adopted, and they hunt, and they live like tribal people, like used to. But the only, he said, the only place we get that is from the books and the movies, and we order videotapes, and we order cassette tapes with the songs and the language, and some of us are trying to learn the language, and it was just really amazing. So anyway, that's one of the things that really helped me to get rid of some of my prejudices, because it is true, we all do come from a tribe. Unfortunately, certain peoples have forgot what that means that live here in the United States, as well as I'm sure elsewhere. Anyway, so Sunday it happened. The break happened. I don't remember why, but anyway, we had a break that wasn't supposed to happen that occurred, and so it was that point that I knew that I was supposed to tell a story. So I'm going to tell you the story that I told the Germans, and it took forever because of the interpreter, so I had to stop, and then she interpreted, and then go on, and it was a little difficult, but that story took forever to tell. And then I'm going to finish this whole story with what happened afterwards. So this is also my favorite story that I made a promise to myself that no matter where I go to do storytelling, that I will always tell this story. So a long time ago, there's a small boy, and he belongs to the Longhouse people. When he was very young, his mother and his father had passed away. And so he was given to his aunt. Now, in our language, when you greet your mother, you say, Segona. And when you greet your aunt, you say, Segona. It's the same word, for these sisters carry the same responsibilities over each other's children. The only thing is, though, this aunt, she didn't have children of her own in a good way. So in the morning, she would prepare a meal for him to eat, and then she'd give him instructions. You go out into those woods. You stay out there all day long so you're not in the way of all the work to be done. And when the sun starts to go down, you come back. It's time to eat and time to go to bed. So that little boy, he would eat a breakfast and he would go out into those woods and he would play by him and go to bed. Well, one day he was out in those woods playing and he was dry. He wanted some water. And he knew where this stream was. So he went to that stream, and when he got there, there was a whole pack, a family of wolves. And they were playing in the water, and they were having a really good time. And so that little boy, he liked what he saw, and so he stared at them, but as he's staring at them, he's moving in closer. And before long, that little boy is playing with the wolves. Well, they liked him, and so they took him deeper into the woods. They played with him, they taught him things. Whenever he was hungry, they would feed him. When he was dry, they gave him water. And when he went to sleep that night, they watched over him and they protected him. Well, in the morning when the sun rose, that woman in that longhouse all of a sudden remembered that little boy. He had been gone all night long, and she became angry and furious that he had run away from the home. She went outside and she called his name and she called his name. He was sleeping with the wolves and he heard his name being called. And he was happy because it was the first time his aunt had ever spoke his name. And he ran back to the longhouse as fast as he could, and when he got back, she beat him real hard and real bad. And then she put him to bed as part of his punishment for running away from the home. Well, about 3 or 4 days had passed, and again he was out in those woods, and he had climbed this real tall tree. And he was out looking around, seeing everything, and all of a sudden this whole pack, this family of wolves, they ran by that tree. But they remembered him. So they came back to get him. And they took him deeper into those woods. They played with him, they taught him things. Whenever he was hungry, they would feed him. Whenever he was dry, they gave him water. And whenever he went to sleep, they would watch over him and they would protect him. Well, about 3 or 4 days had passed, and all of a sudden, that woman in that longhouse, she remembered that little boy, and she became even more angry and more furious. He had been gone for about 3 or 4 days. She went outside and she called his name, and she called his name. And again, he was sleeping with those wolves, but he heard his name being called, and he was happy because he thought that she wanted him back in the home. So he ran back to that longhouse as fast as he could, and when he got back, she beat him even worse than before. His face was so puffed up he couldn't see. His back was hunched over. It hurt for him to walk. And they had to take the leaves and put them all over his body to help him to heal. And then he was put to bed as part of his punishment for running away from the home. Well, it's the time of the year now when the corn is at its highest. And all the longhouse people, they go and they harvest this corn. Well, that little boy was left home alone. And one day he walked outside of the longhouse, and there at the edge of the woods was a whole pack, a family of wolves. And they came to get him because they liked him, because winter was coming. And they took him up into the mountains, and all winter long they played with him, they taught him things. Whenever he was hungry, they would feed him. When he was dry, they gave him water, and all winter long they watched over him and they protected him. Well, now it's the time of the year when creation is starting over again and everything is coming up new. And for some reason, that woman in that longhouse all of a sudden remembered that little boy. He had been gone for a very long time. She was angry and furious that again he had run away from the home. She went outside and she called his name, and she called his name. All day long she called his name. All night long she called his name. And in the morning when the sun started to come up and she was still out there calling his name, a whole pack a family of wolves that came out of the woods. And this little bitty puppy walks up to her and smiles. And he turned around and he went back to his family. And his family, they played with that puppy. They taught him things. Whenever he was hungry, they would feed him. Whenever he was dry, they gave him water. And all his life, they watched over him and they protected him. Done. So when wolves get married, they don't get divorced and they don't get separated. Their puppies and their children don't have to deal with that divorce and separation. When they go out hunting, they don't stop at McDonald's and bring back a hamburger for themselves. They bring back food for the whole pack. They let the eldest wolf eat first. And because there's always enough food, then they eat after. When their puppies turn 18, they don't say, go now, be on your own. The male wolf will stay with his parents all his life to keep the pack strong. So as Ungwehu, Honeyotaaga, Haudenosaunee people, my teachings is that we look to the wolves to always remind us the importance of family. So this is the story with the interpreter that I told at that powwow in Germany. And then we of course had our supper break, as most of you know. And I had found this food booth that sold these real long kibasas, but they were made by Indian people. So they had all the India spices. And I probably ate about 2 dozen of those that week. So that's where I would go when I'd break. And I sat down at a table and I was eating that kibasa, and this old German man must have been at least in his 80s. And his, I believe it was his nephew, who was in his 50s, came up to me, and his nephew said, my uncle would like to speak with you, if that's okay. And so I said yes, and so forth. So the old man, the grandpa, he would speak for about 5 minutes, and nephew would interpret, and he'd speak some more and interpret. And so what he told me, this old man, was that growing up as a child, his dad beat him mercilessly, and he never knew why. And all he knew was that's how it was, to get a beating. Looked the wrong way, he got a beating. And to this day, his physical ailments because of those beatings. And he hated his father, and he hated a lot of things because he was so abused. And he went off into the army, the German army, and went to war. And he felt like killing people was the only thing that helped him to not be so angry and hateful all the time. And so this is all his life. And now he's in his 80s. So for all his life, he was hateful and angry. And he said, so I come here today against my own will. And, his nephew dragged him to the powwow. And he said, I hear your story. And then he starts crying. And he said, all that hate and anger left him that very moment. And it hit me so hard because I never realized stories could be healing. So I was just doing storytelling. And he said he didn't have any more hate, any more anger. So I knew there were thousands, millions of people out there who've dealt with physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse, social abuse. And we have it here in our community. You're not dark enough, you're too dark. You come from this family, you come from that family. And we abuse one another all the time. It's in our own community, so I know it happens all the time. So that old man, he really pushed me to better understand what storytelling and oral tradition is about. It's not just about, oh, I like the story about how the chipmunk got his stripes. It's not. It can be that, but it's not. It's more. So I always tell people, you know, you have your own story. Don't let people stop you from telling your own story, because that's healing. So that's my favorite story, and that's why I tell that story wherever I go. It's a powerful healing story. Tell me.
So there you have it, Brian's favorite story.
I know.
So as we close out our evening and Brian's still watching, we'll
Everybody wave!
we will see him another day. We love you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll see you later.
Bye, especially you guys. Yay!
Yep. If anyone's interested in walking through the Longhouse, it's still open. And if any young guys want to help us move benches, we'll take that.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll close out the evening. Thank you again for everybody coming out and supporting this evening. And thanks for everyone who helped set up and the food booths and the cats and everybody. So thanks for coming.